A war of words erupted between Prime Minister Modi and opposition leaders after the Prime Minister launched a series of attacks on the opposition over an array of issues such as the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, freebie politics, and the recent protests by the Congress in black outfits. Now, the Prime Minister blamed the opposition of indulging in anti-India politics and defaming the country and its icons. He also lashed out at the freebies given by various governments to people, saying that they're a burden to the country's economy. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal countered by saying that taxpayers' money is meant for the people only and not for the waiving of loans for certain individuals.
अगर राजनीति में ही स्वार्थ होगा तो कोई भी आकर पेट्रोल डीजल भी मुफ्त देने की घोषणा कर सकता है। ऐसे कदम हमारे बच्चों से उनका हक छीनेंगे, देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनने से रोकेंगे। आजादी के इस अमृत महोत्सव में आज जब देश तिरंगे के रंग में रंगा हुआ है, तब कुछ ऐसा भी हुआ है जिसकी तरफ देश का ध्यान दिलाना चाहता हूं। हमारे वीर स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों को अपमानित करने का, इस पवित्र अवसर को अपवित्र करने का प्रयास किया गया है। सरकार के खिलाफ झूठ पर झूठ बोलने के बाद भी जनता जनार्दन ऐसे लोगों पर भरोसा करने को तैयार नहीं है। ऐसी हताशा में ये लोग भी अब काले जादू की तरफ मुड़ते नजर आ रहे हैं।
मेरी ये मांग है कि देश के अंदर रेफरेंडम कराया जाए। एक रेफरेंडम ये कराया जाए, लोगों से पूछा जाए क्या सरकारी पैसा एक परिवार के लिए इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए। दूसरा मॉडल है, दूसरी विचारधारा है, क्या सरकारी पैसा कुछ चंद दोस्तों के लिए इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए। और तीसरा, क्या सरकारी पैसा इस देश के आम लोगों को सुविधाएं देने के लिए, अच्छी शिक्षा, अच्छे स्कूल, अच्छे अस्पताल, अच्छी सड़कें बनाने के लिए इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए।
ये प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है, मुझे हैरत है इस तरह का बयान वो दे रहे हैं। मुझे प्रसन्नता है, मैं प्रसन्नता शब्द इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी का 5 अगस्त का जो प्रदर्शन था महंगाई के खिलाफ, वो अभी भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी को परेशान कर रहा है। उस प्रदर्शन की धार कम करने के लिए माननीय गृह मंत्री जी को बोलना पड़ा, उत्तर प्रदेश के माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी को बोलना पड़ा, कई इधर उधर की बातें करनी पड़ी और अंततोगत्वा आज प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बोला। तो इससे पता चलता है कि जो जनता का आक्रोश सड़क पर था, उसकी वजह से भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं के आंख के आगे अंधेरा है, इसमें कोई दोरा नहीं। इसीलिए उन्हें सब कुछ अभी काला काला ही दिखाई पड़ रहा है।
5 तारीख को जिस दिन राम मंदिर का शिलान्यास हुआ, जिस दिन धारा 370 हटाई गई थी, विशेषकर एक वर्ग को संतुष्ट करने के लिए आपने काले कपड़े पहनकर जिस प्रकार से आप आए, ये लोकतंत्र और जो आदमी लोगों की, मानव जाति की या भारतीयों की एक आस्था है, उस पर बहुत बड़ा कुठारघात है। और जिस प्रकार से काला, आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है कि काले जादू, ये सब टोकटे ये करते रहते हैं कांग्रेस से, इससे कुछ नहीं बनने वाला। सबसे बड़ा जादू जनता का जादू है और जनता का जादू मोदी जी के साथ में है।
All right, we have some very devastating news coming in right now. This is an update on that encounter in Rajouri. Now, 3 army men have been martyred. Now, this was the Fadain attack on the army. And remember, the army camp in Palghar was targeted. I'm crossing over to my colleague Tejinder Singh Sodhi to give us more details. Tejinder, this is very unfortunate, devastating, heartbreaking news now. Can you give us more details about the army men that were martyred?
Yes, Aisha, this is indeed heartbreaking news that 3 army personnel, they have been martyred in the Rajouri encounter. 2 are still injured and they are being treated at the army hospital. This was the encounter that broke out in the Pargal area of Rajouri when 2 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, they tried to barge into the army camp. They were, however, challenged by the security forces and which led to an encounter in the area. In the encounter, 5 army jawans, they were injured. Initially, they were injured in the encounter. However, we are told that 3 succumbed to their injuries while they were being evacuated to the hospital. 2 are still being treated. The entire area has been put under cordon by the army, by the SOG of the Jammu and Kashmir police. And though 2 terrorists, they have been neutralized, they have been killed, but unfortunately, we have lost 3 army jawans. The army has confirmed to CNN News 18 that 3 army jawans have attained martyrdom, but their identities are yet to be revealed because their family members have to be informed first. So this was the army camp, which is located at the Pargal area in Rajouri, which was attacked by the terrorists. And the army, however, they managed to repulse this attack. Had these terrorists, they managed to enter inside the army camp, the number of casualty would have been more. But yes, the unfortunate news is that 3 army jawans, they have been martyred in the operation. 2 jawans, they are still being treated at the hospital. 2 terrorists believed to be from the Jaish-e-Mohammed suicide squad, the Fidain squad of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. They have been neutralized. Large quantity of arms and ammunition have also been recovered. The entire area has been cordoned off. Additional forces have been rushed to the area. This is a forested area where this camp is located. So the terrorists, they took advantage of the dark and they tried to sneak into the Indian Army camp by cutting the wires. However, they were noticed by the sentry who was deployed there, which he challenged these terrorists. They started firing towards him, and the fire was retaliated. And in the retaliation, 5 army jawans, they were injured. 3 of them have been martyred. They succumbed to their injuries while they were being evacuated to the hospital. 2 are still under treatment. But this unfortunate news coming this morning that we have lost 3 army jawans in this suicide terror attack on the army camp in Pargal area of Rajouri district. Yes, Aisha.
All right, Tejinder, do stay with us because we're now joined by Major General A.K. Savach. Mr. Savach, thank you so much for joining us. But unfortunately, what we're doing right now is breaking an input that we've lost 3 army jawans in an encounter that took place in Rajouri. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, of course, it is unfortunate. We have lost 3 of our boys. But the fact is that this was a Fidain attack, a suicide attack, and the inputs are coming that before 15th August and 26th January, you know, these terrorists which are basically coming from Pakistan, they will try to do such activity. But I can say that this terrorist action was foiled by the alert security forces. Unfortunately, we got 5 Jawan injured, and out of them, 3 of them succumbed to injury. But this input are still there, and security forces are on high alert. You see, the point what is coming is that there is a case of desperation now on the part of militants as well as on deep state ISI, because they are knowing it now. The normalcy has arrived in Jammu and Kashmir. There are hardly about 125 terrorists are left, and they will be also eliminated in another about a year and a half. So they want to show they are relevant, and this Fidain attack is sort of an attack where they, try to come into the camp area and they try to then do the firing. But this attempt was also foiled. The fact is that all attempts of terrorists, whether it is on line of control or whether it is in a hinterland, is totally under control, and the security forces are at it. Today, the normalcy is there. But such activity will take place, and especially before 15 and 26 January, security forces are on high alert, and they knew it that such thing can happen. But unfortunately, we lost our 3 Jawans. But this infiltration bid or a Fidain attack on a camp in Pargal area of Rajouri was foiled. There is no doubt about it. But we have to be very alert. Before 15th August, such activity will increase, and you'll find more, Fidain attack taking place, not only in Rajouri, maybe also in Kashmir Valley. So we have to be very alert. The infiltration bid will also increase. Remember, there are about 10,000 Lashkar-e-Toba, Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, which are sitting in launch pad as well in training camps in POK, because they were the one which were fighting against Afghan forces and American forces along with Taliban. So they are all equipped with American weapons which were left behind by Americans in Afghanistan. So the threat is real, and Pakistan will try to pump them in. And Pakistan want to show that there is still, terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. But the fact is different. After abrogation of Article 370 and 35A in last 2-3 years, a huge development has taken place. Peace is prevailing, and this Tringa Yatra, which is there, before 15th August, that each house will be hosting a flag, is successful. But Pakistan will try such activity.
Absolutely.
We have to be very careful. And I can only compliment, we have managed to foil this attempt of Pakistani infiltrators of Fidain attack, and we killed both the terrorists.
Absolutely. Major General A.K. Savach, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your input on this unfortunate news. We will continue to track it because 2 of our Jawans are still being treated. But for right now, we're going to shift focus. Now, the Vice President-elect, Jagdeep Dhankar, is all set to take oath at the office at 12:30 p.m. today. And Dhankar, who will also take over as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, will also be administered the oath by newly elected President Draupadi Murmu. Now, according to CNN News 18 sources, the Congress and the TMC are unlikely to attend the event, and Congress wants to give a political message keeping in mind Dhankar's Rajasthan connection and the upcoming elections in the state. Now, in the case of the TMC, it's a well-known fact that West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee doesn't see eye to eye with Jagdeep Dhankar, owing to his continuous criticism of the Mamata government during his tenure as the West Bengal governor. Now I'm crossing over to my colleague Pallavi Ghosh to give us more details on this story. Pallavi, tell us more about the political messaging that the TMC and the Congress essentially want to portray by skipping the event.
No, it's just a Trinamool Congress which is not going to be attending the oath-taking ceremony of Jagdeep Dhankar, which is going to take place at 12:30. Very clear-cut. If you remember that it was a Trinamool Congress which had abstained from voting, and on the grounds that the Congress party had not taken them on board and had treated them very shabbily, and that had incurred a lot of speculation and also criticism from some within the opposition party that was the TMC going soft on the BJP. I think the main messaging which the Trinamool Congress wants to send out, that is definitely not soft. It's very interesting that when we go inside Rajya Sabha, the first party which is going to be sitting bank opposite Jagdeep Dhankar as the Vice President is actually going to be the Trinamool Congress's Derek O'Brien, who is the leader of the House in Rajya Sabha. I think with TMC deciding to skip, is going to be a full-on confrontation between the TMC and the man who was once the governor of West Bengal, and his very poor, bitter equations with the Trinamool Congress and the West Bengal government is very well known.
Absolutely. Now, Pallavi, how do you think this was essentially going to change the political dynamic when it comes to the perception of Mamata's government in West Bengal? Because essentially you're skipping a big event. The vice president is going to be sworn in.
Yes, I mean, many would say that this is a lack of grace because he's a vice president of India. He occupies a constitutional post, and, he does not belong to any political party now, and it's time to forget your animosity. It's also interesting to know that Mamata Banerjee has been one of those few leaders who has actually not even congratulating him on Twitter. But I think, her style of politics is one which is always believed in a confrontation. And even the fact that he was a governor, he occupied a constitutional post over there, never made her or her party colleagues shy away from putting this allegation on him that he was merely a centre's agent. He was a BJP man who was occupying a constitutional position, and therefore he deserves scant respect.
All right. Now, Pallavi, can you also give us a little more clarity on the Congress's position here? You were saying that they're not going to skip an event, though sources had earlier told us that they were going to skip the event. Do you know why the change?
No, I mean, the Congress was planning to attend the swearing-in ceremony. I mean, if you remember, Rahul Gandhi and even Sonia Gandhi later sent a letter of congratulations to Jagdeep Dhankar. They were openly supporting Margaret Alva. They had set up their own candidate, but I think they also understand that these are constitutional nuances. You have to respect the position of, the person who occupies the chair.
All right, Pallavi, thank you so much for joining us and giving us those details. Now, I just wanted to point out to the viewers that was essentially the VP-elect Jagdeep Dhankar paying tribute at Rajghat. Now, with this, we're heading into a very short break, but stay with us.